Perfect. What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
So my dad's currently talking with my mom on the phone right now, but do you want to start the stream at 9, and then when my dad can poke his way out, we just get him on the show and, you know, hold it over everybody's head that he's not here yet.
Sounds good.
It's funny, you're showing up on the computer as James.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, you got to change it back to Jimmy.
Let's see. How can I do that? No. Huh.
Just going to throw everybody for a loop. They're going to be like, who the heck is this guy? That's not Jimmy.
How can I fix it? Okay, let me leave the call and see if well, let's see. There's got to be a way of changing it. Let's see. Chat, screen share, showcase, Q&A, control room. I don't think control room. Nope, that's a moderated call, so I can't control it on this end. Oh, I think I know what it is. Okay, let me hang up. I'll call you right back.
All right, no worries. I'll be here.
Okay, bye.
I'm going to be in here.
Okay, is that better?
Let me see. Yeah, now it says Jimmy. that helps a tiny bit. So I was thinking we'll go live at 9, being that you're here. I kind of gave the 9 to 9:30 time slot because I wasn't sure when you were going to be home or not. You know what I mean?
Oh, I was cruising like at 80, 83 mile an hour to get here.
I didn't hear none of that.
Oh, man. See my failed test cam holder? I was trying to printing with 3D Form Makers.
Ouch. What the heck happened there?
I think I've let it get too old, I think, to be honest with you.
Which material is that?
It's a PETG from 3D Form Makers.
Got it. That's weird because I've had PETG that's been sitting around since like the beginning of time, and
me too. I've got a roll of what is that stuff? What's the other one?
ELA.
It's a PETG, but it's from
Tallman.
Huh?
Is it Tallman?
No, it's that other eSun.
Oh, those guys.
I still don't have a problem with it. I could throw it in the printer right now and it'll print perfectly fine. But this stuff here, I don't know what's going on.
That sucks. All right, I'm gonna go live now.
Cool.
So let me just text my dad and tell him we're live, just so that way he knows. It'll take a sec.
I guess I better bring up the chat. I haven't even went into YouTube yet.
I got the chat running on my end, so if any trolls decide to hang out, I can smite them very quickly.
Sweet.
It's a skill I
It's
have.
on your channel, right?
What?
Yeah, it's on your channel, right?
Yep, it's on my end.
Oh my goodness, there I am. It says featuring my dad, and it's got my picture. It's bad. Does that mean I'm your poppy?
You are horrible.
Who's your poppy?
So I guess first things first, I'll have to ask you, how was the Rockland Mini Maker Faire that you were at today with Repcord and A Pyro and all those people?
It was awesome. I mean, it was a very beautiful day up there. It was just a really, really cool setup they have there. It was at Sierra College. So it wasn't a really big maker fair, but it was nice.
I mean, I guess my question is always, how does it compare to Bay Area Maker Faire? Because that's kind of like our benchmark for a Maker Faire event is Bay Area Maker Faire, obviously. I mean, do you think, despite its smaller size, that they did a better job, a worse job, or kind of like they hit their selective markets?
I think they hit their selected markets. It was geared mainly toward children. So I think that's what they set out to do. I think they did a great job at it too.
That is awesome. So what kind of stuff did they have there, just to give people a flavor of what's going on?
They had it was a lot of arts and crafts. It was a lot of arts and crafts. 3D printers. There were quite a few 3D printers around there, but nothing like Bay Area Maker Faire. Bay Area Maker Faire appealed more toward adults than it did toward children, and so of course it had more of the products that appealed more toward adults.
Got it.
Let's see here. I'm trying to get everything set up.
It's all good. I'm kind of doing the same thing. I'm kind of like, oh crap, was there like the whole intro part of us with like technical difficulties going to make it in there? Ah, well, we can edit that part out or just make it on list or whatever.
Did you already tweet it out?
Yeah, I just tweeted it out on my end.
Okay.
Let me just say that this is join. It's a typical first 10 minutes of the show. We don't know what we're doing. Oh yeah, we're having a live stream and we're gonna go live and forget to do everything. Oh man. But no, that is awesome with that little mini Maker Faire thing. I mean, I guess it's kind of like everyone is going to be catered to its different market, but
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I got my end of it tweeted out. I'll get back over there, get my chat back up, which still has nobody in it.
Like our last stream, which was just like absolutely nobody.
Is yours marked as private or is it marked as public?
No, it's public.
Okay. There's probably somebody else streaming tonight.
Yeah. Like,
so hey, we met up with Travis and Heather and Ari and everybody that way. It was a really, really nice to get around to seeing all of them. And then Ripcord showed up. So I got to hang out with him and his girlfriend, and it was just awesome. I mean, great people. And then afterward, we went and grabbed Mod Pizza, which, wow, that was actually really good pizza. And then after that, we went over to where Travis works and check that out.
Oh, that is sick.
It's a metal sign and Back to the Future. Anyway, I did a video on how he did these, so the little grommet things. That's awesome. I loved it. But see, this wasn't the cool part. I mean, this was awesome and cool. But I'll show you the cool part. That's a Yota.
I think Joel is probably exceedingly jealous of you right now.
Now, he cut this using a fiber laser cutter that is a 500-watt laser. And you cannot believe how smooth these cuts. I mean, he didn't do anything to dress them up afterward. It just did an amazing job on it.
Oh, I know.
I
I had
mean,
him do some sheet brass for me, and the disclaimer on it is he didn't have any nitrogen to use for the air blast, so he left behind a bit of scale on the edge, but he included one of his little laser cut steel, I forget what it was, like old Nintendo 64 style controllers. That thing was insane, like no burr. I was like, what? It was amazing.
I mean, look at that side. And here's the other side of it. There are no burrs whatsoever. This thing is just smooth. It's just amazing to me how that thing works.
Oh, I know. And I'm sitting here going, and I'm trying to build my own tiny little laser cutter that's like 5 watts at most for mostly just like engraving wood and things like that. You know, it's one of those things that's up in the air. Although I will admit, part of me really is tempted to just go on GearBest, buy a CR10, chuck all the 3D printing, like the hot end and the extruder, just be like, anybody want a free hot end extruder or heated bed or whatever the heck it comes with that they don't need, and then just use the frame. But then I'm like, that's not the spirit of Make It with Calvin. That's like, buy it on GearBest with Calvin. I'm like, I want to try and build my own. You know? And it's a good opportunity to also blend in some of the skills that I know, like machining and design and things like that, which is what I try and do in a lot of projects is, instead of just making it, I built something, actually make it more, of an educational experience, if you will.
Right.
Which is fun. Is anybody in there? Nope.
Nobody. I think we're all by ourselves tonight.
Oh, man. We can talk all kinds of crap into we all are now. So even though, you know what? Oh, 2 viewers. Hey, maybe. Oh, 2 people watching now.
Ooh. So it's not just me?
3 people. Okay, I think we're starting to get people. I think we should give it till like 9:15, just us chit-chatting. And if we get a bunch of people in, then we can actually start talking real topics. Something I was thinking about talking about a little bit later on, if there's more people, is the Haas open house that I went to with my dad on Friday that I flew down for.
That was awesome. That was man. Did you release your video yet?
I've released the overview video, which is just kind of like me showing all the different stuff. I released the golf cart tour video, which is about 30 minutes long of us rolling in a golf cart around the facility, a guided tour with a guy that one guy drives, one guy explains everything. If you're ever interested in just how much stuff it takes to run the company, just from a manufacturing point of view, it is worth watching. I mean, the level of stuff that they have worked out over there is incredible. It is amazing. So I've got that, and then I also finally ran into my friend Sarah from Raptor Work Holding. I explained it more in the video, but we've been following each other on Instagram for like 2.5 years. And every time there'd be an event, we'd like never be able to meet up. Like I'd be at an event, she wouldn't be. And then I'm just cruising through the little vendor area, which is nothing very big, but they just have little vendors like tool companies, coolant companies, lubricant companies, work holding companies, things like that out there, kind of just showing off their products. And I'm walking by, I'm like, oh, Raptor Work, wait a minute, I know you.
That's awesome.
So it was really cool because I asked her, I'm like, are you cool going on camera demoing it? She was, oh my gosh, totally, yes. What do you want me to do? I'm like, just get the usual sales spiel that you do to people, just hold the microphone and talk. And she's like, okay. So that was actually really cool because she was a little bit nervous, but it's like, she just absolutely killed it. when she did. I mean, she did great, especially considering she's like holding a microphone with one hand and trying to like balance apart and like twist a hex wrench. The ultimate in multitasking. I mean, considering the limitations of the equipment and stuff, she did amazing. And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be able to necessarily use anything that they make in the video, but I would not be against potentially, you know, teaming up with them on a video or two, showing how even as a hobby machinist, their work holding products could work, you know, for small run productions and stuff. Once you see the video, it makes more sense how it works. But it's something that I've always been like, man, I'd love to show, you know, outside of the, hi, I run a multi-million-dollar shop, you know, how these products could be used if there was a demand, you know, in what you were doing, if you will.
Right. That would be awesome.
So yeah, so the event was cool. I'm going to go into more depth into it in a little bit. I don't want to spoil it now, but let's just say that I've been going on and off for about 3 years now, I believe. And while in some senses, some things stay the same, it is interesting seeing how the production side of things has changed. You know, they get new machinery in, they change up their processes, some things stay the same, but it's always, you know, it's still mind-blowing to just see how much stuff it takes to make something.
Yeah.
You know, I love the part in the video though where my dad goes and makes the comment about how he started to make the comment off camera about all that stuff, and I'm like, whoa, wait. Let me turn the camera on. Let me record you saying this, because this, I think, is really going to put things into perspective for people. As somebody who's a I mean, he understands machining, he knows how to do a little bit, but he's not, when I say at the level of me, he understands what I can do, but he knows that he can't do that just because he doesn't have the experience. But he's, you know, proud of the fact that I know what I do, so it's not like he's spiteful or anything like that. It's nothing like that. It's just he never pursued it like I did. But I thought it was really cool that he actually kind of showed that, hey, even a lay person can understand that there's a whole lot, you know, of stuff that goes into making things. And it was really like, okay, plopping that in the video.
That's the way to do it.
You know, the other thing, I totally have to hand it to my dad for doing this. I remember I was filming one of their robotic cells, and I'll go into more details later on, but some guy was like staring at the rig wondering what I was doing. So my dad walks over and goes, yeah, he's filming the machines. And the guy goes, oh, that's cool. And then as I'm like filming it, because my dad knows I'm going to put music over. So if there was talking, it was no big deal. I just had audio rolling in case I said anything that was poignant that needed to be remembered for later editing purposes. And my dad's like, where's all your business cards? I'm like, they're in my right pocket. So my dad's like trying not to bump my arm as he's like unzipping my pocket to like pull the business cards out to give to the guy so he can like watch the channel. I get done filming, he goes, oh man, when are you releasing the video on this? I'm like, hopefully Saturday morning by like 9 or 10 in the morning. I go, oh man, I gotta try and check that out. And then when you're in the demo room, sort of the same thing happens. So I have to hand it to my dad for pretty much handing out business cards to people. He didn't hand out a ton of them, but definitely kind of playing like my little mobile PR guy, just handing stuff out there. It was like, hey, thanks, you made yourself useful.
That's cool.
And I don't mean that in a mean way by any means. It's like he just, you know, was doing his thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
guest appearance.
Hello, Mr. Witt. How you doing today?
Howdy. Hi, Jimmy.
we are
Now, do you want me to call you Mr. Witt, or do you want me to call you Carl's dad?
Tom. Call me Tom.
What's that again?
Tom.
Tom. Nice to meet you, Tom.
Yeah. So I don't know everything Calvin said. I was just talking to his mother, and she says, is he live now? I go, let me check. I go, yeah. I said, just go to YouTube and look up his name. And
oh god,
here we are.
Now you do realize you've got a very intelligent, smart son, right?
From periodically, yeah, it comes across.
I didn't
He's
notice
one of the smartest guys I know for no older than he is.
I didn't know this was turning into a mobile roast session. I'm just kidding. Oh man. So I noticed you had a box over there on set. Care to show us what beeth inside?
So Formlabs had a thing on Twitter saying if you'd like a sample, click here. So I went ahead and I got one of their SLA prints. It's a free sample they sent. This one here is supposed to be a hardened material that's not supposed to wear out. But it's kind of cool the way they set this thing up. It's got a screw right there. And then it's got the socket. So it's got a ball joint. And of course, it's got like a screw head on that portion of it. But hey, that's probably the first SLA print I've actually held. I've seen them, but I've never actually had one that I could hold in my hand. Which I gotta say, it still feels sticky.
I don't think they cleaned it enough, or they didn't fully cure it enough. That's like the two common problems. Or the third problem is when the resin gets exposed to air for too long, it'll partly cure, but then it'll stay kind of sticky. But I've heard if you just dip it in an alcohol bath or something like that, it helps to just remove it really quick. But
yeah, I figured tomorrow I'll stick out in the sunlight and let it sit there for a while.
that is awesome, though. I've done a lot more SLA and polyjet prints, so I'm used to it. But it's also crazy just the various mechanical stuff that you can make with it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, this is just amazing because there's no layer lines whatsoever. I mean, the thing is just as smooth as it can be.
Oh, bad.
Except for the gnarled part, right? Yeah, I don't think the camera's going to catch it.
No, it's not.
Yeah. But I mean, it just did an amazing job on detail.
That is incredible.
It makes me want one.
Well, you got them lying in the box over there.
Yeah, I know. I got to get going on that. In fact, we get you and Curtis together so we can get that built.
I had visions of me going to Courtney's and getting like 20 PB&Js and cruising down there, and then we just do like some marathon, like day-long stream. Like one person sleeps for a while, another person gets on, just like rotate to get it done.
Well, about half of it's going to be pulling all the paper off the plexi.
That I think one of us can be doing off camera, because that's like one of those mind-numbingly tedious tasks nobody needs to see.
Well, Tom, what was your feeling about the Haas trip to this week?
Well, the lunch was great, you know. Calvin's down here, so that means that Mom, the wife, is up there, so nobody's making me lunch. So
nice.
Was it chicken, baked beans, macaroni and cheese, salad? I went back double for that.
Oh man, you're making me hungry now.
Oh, it was good. Are you kidding?
I bet it was.
They had cookies, but we passed on the cookies.
They also had hot dogs and popcorn if you wanted that as well. You know, they had a little bit of everything almost.
Nice.
And he forgot the garlic bread.
No, you got it.
Well, you forgot to mention
it. I got it, and then you sent me back.
No, you forgot to mention that they had garlic bread.
Oh, I forgot to mention they had garlic bread.
Details.
So they fed you guys down there.
Knives and forks too. Huh? It was a full service meal.
Nice.
So yeah, it was good. I've been on how many Haas tours with you now? 3?
Probably 3.
At least 3 of them. It's pretty much the same thing. It takes you 20 minutes to find a parking place. And then they make you stand in a line that you don't have to stand in because you speak English. And so you can self-tour yourself, so you don't have anybody explain it to you. And then, but the rest of it's good. I don't know if you saw the drive-through tour that Calvin shot, but the guy who did it with us, he was great. And it was kind of strange because a lot of times you get in there and I think, you know, we have the janitor giving us the tour. You know, we have buildings and, you know, these are walls, you know, you get that kind of stuff. And this guy really knew his stuff. And so Calvin was very fortunate to have that for the tour. And when we get all done, I said to him, like, so, because he looked kind of young, you know, like maybe late 20s, early 30s. I said, how long you been working here? And he goes, about a year and a half. I was like blown away just because he grasped every aspect of the manufacturing.
That's amazing. That's good that you had somebody who's knowledgeable that way to go with you guys.
Oh, it was amazing. And the cool part was as well, I was a little bit worried about the audio for the tour because some of the carts have a built-in PA system, some of them don't. Ours was literally like, hi, I'm at the country club golf course, like 2 seats in front, 2 seats in the back, and then like the 2 seats for the people in the rear who like to look out the back for some stupid reason. And we had one guy riding back there, and then it was just me on the driver's side of the car and Dad on the passenger side. So he held the microphone while the guy was giving the tour, and that worked out great for the audio. I figured if anything, even if the audio wasn't perfect, at least if people wanted to watch it, they could. But when I was going back and watching the audio, I'm like, wow, that actually turned out better than I had expected, considering that the guy wasn't talking super loud and certain parts of the building, I mean, they're working on stuff as you're touring through there. So they don't stop production just because you're rolling through.
Right.
You know, so you got guys with compressed air going on, you've got machines running. It's not like crazy loud, but it's definitely loud enough that it's would be normally, you know, if you're not using a microphone right next to somebody, it would not pick it up. But it turned out better than I thought, and it was cool just being able to film the whole tour, being kind of like, well, you know, there's people who can't make it or people wondering what the heck is there to see. And if anything, it just, like I said earlier, it just shows people just how much investment the company has put into producing the machinery, which is incredible.
Now, one question I've got is that engine block that you're showing. What was the machine time on something like that?
Let me call up the photo on a screen share so people can see what we're talking about. That thing, let me see, screen share. Let me see if I can get it to work. Sharing the screen. So this is the block that Jimmy is talking about. This was about 4 inches tall, I believe, by about 2 inches wide, by about 2 inches, about 4 inches by 4 inches by 2 inches approximately. The runtime on something like that would probably be at least 2 or 3 hours, I think. It all depends upon the machine and how fast the spindle can go and how good your programming is. But that's easily a 2 to 3 hour part right there, just because of all the 3D surfaces that had to be machined, roughing all the material out, tiny tools required. But that thing had lots of drool factor. I will admit, I asked my friend Sarah if I could run off it. She said, sadly, no.
Now, did they polish that, or did that actually come out from?
That came out of the machine looking like that. I kid you not.
And that thing had 4-bolt mains. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Let's go back. Put the thing up.
Put it back up.
Got 4-bolt mains.
Okay. Calm down, everybody. Everybody wants
Come on,
to see.
Calvin, now.
Come on, screen share. Jeez. Patience, man. There we go.
It is. That is amazing.
So
now, were they actually threaded, or was it just drilled holes?
I didn't look that close. It just looks like most of the holes along the edge.
Hit the zoom.
On the outside were drilled, but the holes where the crank. I'm now going to screw it up, and I'm going to get chewed out for it. But the little crank area things, those were just spotted for drilling. I think it was probably just a time reason why they did not drill everything out, as this was just a demo part that was done at a show, and my friend was given it to use as a demo piece. But I told her something like this was a lot cooler than, say, something like this as a demo part. And obviously, this is cool, but it's not as exciting as this, and that is not as relatable as that, where that was really cool too. Some cars that have been worked on, but it's not like something that people can easily relate to. You know, not everybody might be making micro V8 engine blocks or whatever, but if you have something cool that people can relate to, it's definitely, you know, it draws people's interest in. Like, people were literally walking from like a couple booths away just to come and see that.
Come on, Calvin. Up at the top where it says Zoom, click it a few times. Let's just take a closer look at it. Now they just drilled.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just drilled.
Because usually the caps are, machined separately, and then they line bore it.
Right.
Yeah, but this should
that
get.
is simply amazing, though. I love that.
Oh yeah. I'll admit, if I had the capabilities to make something like this, you bet I would, just for the sake of saying I made it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the crazy thing is, in the configuration that it is right now on a 5-axis machine, with the tool being vertical with the part like this, you can rotate it, you can turn it, you can hit 5 out of the 6 sides of the part. So all you have to do for your last operation is build a fixture to just cut off this material. This is a different part, but it has this little dovetail underneath that it grabs onto with this little locating stop right here. So you can pull it out of different machines and relocate it. But yeah, the ability to work on something like that in a multi-axis machine is like totally game changing.
Yeah, it is.
It's awesome. But yeah, that was definitely one of the cooler things to see over there, just because of what it was, and also being able to meet up with somebody that I'd been following online for a long time and always liked their product. The funny thing is, they actually their company is actually located out of Burbank, which is not very far from where I grew up, which is kind of funny.
So did you ask them how much it would cost you if you took one home?
If I took home one of the bases, it'd probably be at least $300 if I bought one minimum for a small one. Sadly,
$300.
Yeah, probably at least. I'm guessing.
The 300,000, right?
No. If I wanted to run home with a machine to go along with it as well, that would probably be pushing about 300,000 as well. Depends on how many zeros you tack on the end.
Now, what's the largest item that they can do in most of their machines?
Oh, it depends. It really, that company that makes the little blue base that was holding the V8 engine, they don't make any machinery. They just make that base and a couple of other products to go with it. But Haas literally has, if you're talking about Haas that we were visiting, they have machines that can do stuff from probably about the footprint of my laptop on their little machines up to stuff that, oh geez, you could probably fit like a smart car in, right? On like their VF10.
I don't know if it's that big, but yeah, I'm thinking that it had travel of about 6 feet.
At least.
And what was that guy talking to? There was something that he was talking about where I think, didn't he say like you can exceed the feet length? Almost like maybe it was a double feeder or something. So that if the travel was, say, 4 feet, the other piece that you bolted on could also travel. I was getting the impression. You know better than me. And so it had to do with the dovetailing. And he said you didn't have to take the thing out of the machine to do the dovetailing. So I figured.
Oh, that was different. That was on the UMC 1000 that they're coming out with. What they did is they made on their machine, it's a 5-axis machine, so it has the ability to swing the part on this axis and it has the ability to rotate it on this axis. So what they did is they decided it would be really smart to make a mounting point up from the 5-axis table. It doesn't really get in the way of it, but because you can spend the part anyway, so it doesn't matter. But what it allows them to do is drop a small milling vise up there, so you can install a little vise and put either your part for the last operation, or if you're using those dovetailing fixtures, you can just put your part in there, and in the machine just have one operation come along, quickly mill the dovetail fixture, then it runs the other part, and then when you go to switch parts, you just move it on down the line, and then you move that almost finished part to another, probably a 3-axis machine, just to buzz off the dovetail and go from there. So that's what he was talking about, if that makes sense now.
Okay.
That's cool.
It was very cool. Sadly, they did not have the machine in the demo room. The one thing I will say that was a little bit of a bummer in the demo room, which is where they have their various machines running and you can, see them building parts and things like that. I don't want to sound like I'm bashing them on this, because I'm not, because it's definitely a lot of work to get machines into the demo room, get them all hooked up, get them running a program, get somebody standing there to watch them, answer questions, you know, all that stuff. So I understand it's very, very, very manpower intensive to have stuff running in the demo room. But I was a little bit bummed that they didn't have as many of their large machines in there. But like, I remember one year their demo area was about 1.5 times the size that it was this time, which was really epic. But you know, I totally understand why it was the size that it was. And I'm not saying it didn't have really cool stuff to see. It's just I was like, oh man, I wanted to see some really big stuff. And then I really wanted to also see like their compact mill, and also their drill tap machine, which is ridiculously fast. I wanted to get some footage of that, but I couldn't find it in there. And then the other thing was the demo room was super crowded, which was a little bit of a bummer filming wise, because you're kind of like trying to like squeeze in there, like not try and like bump into everybody. Like, I want to try and film the machine, but like everybody's in the way. there's one part in the scene which is absolutely hilarious. I'm standing in front of, I think it's a VF2 or a VF3, kind of yelling into the microphone going, and on this week's episode, we're going to be discussing the differences between my hobby machine and these big machines. And there's some kid just like this at the camera, like, his dad's like dragging him, and he's all like, it was great. I didn't even realize that because the whole time I'm focusing on dad filming me and like trying to yell my lines out and not like go completely brain blank in there. You know, they were totally cool with people filming. There were some Haas reps that were like, oh man, did you build that thing? Like, you know, wondering about the rig, wondering like when my video was going to come out and stuff. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for him to go, oh, where's your press pass? You know, you can't shoot in here. You know, you don't have clearance, and you know, you don't have your rabies shot or whatever. You know,
that's the truth.
I actually tweeted out Haas before the event, and I'm like, I just want to double check. You guys are cool if I shoot some footage from my YouTube video, and they're like, totally fine. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I just want to double check so there's no issues. We're like, don't even worry about it. That's why we have the facility set up the way that we do, is we want people to come in there and take videos and take photos and show people as another form of advertisement on their part. And, you know, they literally have inside their manufacturing area, they literally have a catwalk that's probably a good at least 100 feet long, at least. I just shot some footage of me walking across it just to show how big it is, and I might release that in a video. We'll see, just kind of give people an understanding of what the event is really like. But literally, it's this catwalk that runs for like the majority of a dividing wall between their machining side and their assembly side in one of their buildings. So you can go up on there and they can show you just all the machines running, all the guys working. And then the cool part is, where one of their inspection rooms is, they actually have an area that's kind of cordoned off with a skylight, so you can watch them doing inspection of the various parts coming off the machines to double check everything's within tolerance. They've done a very good job of setting it up so that way, you know, if a customer is interested in the machine, they can just show them around up there without, you know, having to drag them on the shop floor or anything like that. And if they want to, they could very well do that. But for big events, it really makes it easy to just kind of self-pace yourself if you're kind of going alone to do that. And then they had, during the event, like various people along the way to kind of like answer questions and things like that, which was cool. But it was nice because we were able to get in like right in between groups. We're kind of like, yeah, we've done this before. They're like, oh, oops, sorry, you didn't have to stay in line. You can go right ahead. So normally when we've gone, there's been a lot of crowds there. But we went, what? We got there around like 10 in the morning?
Yeah, 9:30, 10.
By the time we got into the building, it was probably like 10:15, 10:30. And the event started at like 8 or 9 in the morning. So I wasn't sure how busy Friday was going to be. I was kind of like, either Friday's going to have nobody because everybody's gone during the week, or Friday's going to have a lot of people because their boss was like, hey, Friday's easy. We're just going to take a 3-day weekend. Let's all go to HaasTec and check it out. So I wasn't sure what to expect, but compared to going on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday when I used to go, man, there was like no crowds. When we went to go take the golf cart tour, we literally just wandered down there. Normally there was like a half-hour line to get to the golf carts.
Yeah.
Just wander down there, and one of the guys is like, hey, how many of you? 2 of us? Okay, go hop on this golf cart with this awesome guy. And
Well,
like,
don't forget the guy in the back.
yeah,
There's the seat that sits backwards in the back.
yeah,
He was sort of like parasitic. I mean, he was like totally detached from a I didn't even think halfway through I remembered he was there. But didn't we hit a bump or something? And those guys who were driving thought he fell off or something?
I was so focused on filming.
Yeah,
I was literally like the whole time, I'm just like focusing on filming alone. And I'm just like, I'm just going to focus on filming. Dad's got the microphone. Unless the rig dies or the cart blows up, I'm just going to focus on filming. And if that happens, well, I'm just going to keep on filming. You could almost say I was tunnel vision, but I was like, I'd been on the tour so many times. That was actually an advantage because I kind of knew what was coming up and what to expect. I didn't remember like exactly what side this stuff was on, but it kind of helped me in my head prepare. So it wasn't like jerking the camera. And if I moved it, I was, you know, trying to be smooth and things like that, knowing that, okay, if it's a really fast thing on this side that everybody's probably already seen or the guys explained it really well, I'm not going to pan the camera over just for 3 seconds of it. I'm just going to keep it on here. So I think overall, I mean, minus mounting a camera to the roof of the golf cart, which if I go back to HaasTec, I will ask them, hey, is it cool if I mount my GoPro to the top of the golf cart just to shoot like a time lapse of the little golf tour and then shoot like a video as well? You know, just kind of be like, yeah, would that be doable? Because that'd be really cool. But yeah, I was so focused on filming, I'm like, I don't even know what's going on around me.
Yeah, I was listening to that one point when you showed me that. I got an echo somewhere here. What's going on? Is that better?
That's a lot better. I just also locked the camera on you, so it's not going to go back and forth.
I wonder why I had an echo. That was weird.
That's weird.
Yeah, I got everything silenced on this end. I don't understand one. Anyway, that one clip that you shared with me, I noticed they had that catwalk where it looked an awful lot like the Jelly Bean, that Jelly Belly factory. It looked a lot like that, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, for those people who have been to the Jelly Belly factory or other factories where they have something like that, yeah, it's the similar concept that this one was literally just a railing and you could look right over. It didn't have any of like the plastic because of, you know, the Jelly Belly factory is a food facility, so they got to close it more. But yeah, it was that same concept if you could take tours through there without disrupting anything, without really putting people in any imminent danger. You know, the only time that you could say was, quote, dangerous was riding a golf cart, because obviously you're more, you know, something's going to go wrong, but, you know.
The other thing is that the tours aside, which are what, once a year, and maybe they bring in people for that too, but their offices were upstairs. And so you literally had to go into their office space to get into that gangway that we walked on. So they probably use that a lot to be able to get to the buildings in the back without having to walk through the shop floor.
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Their insurance company probably appreciates
that.
Yeah, so that's that was kind of that. So that was cool. And then afterwards we just shot a little more B-roll, and then it was getting kind of crowded on the catwalk, so we just decided, okay, probably time to book it down to the demo area. And then the cool part was, well, the cool thing was this was the first time I've gone where they've actually given you a big old plastic badge. Normally they would just give you a little printout with your name and then like one of those almost like plastic clip things. Nothing very fancy, but this time they literally gave us this big old plastic badge which had your name, then your company. I put obviously make it with Calvin on there. It's showing up reverse because of the camera.
What's your name? To Nivlak? To Nivlak. Does that look like that way on Jimmy's end?
It looks right on my end of it.
Okay, because it's reversed over here.
He's got his camera reversed on this end.
Yeah, laptop problems. But the cool thing was then on the back, they actually had almost like, in a way, it showed you what was going on. So you can see the factory tours, machine demos, tip of the day, live, and then, hey, we got a Pyro in chat. What's up, dude? And then we have vendor tents. So it was really nice that they actually put on the back of this what was going on. And then the tip of the day was really cool. It's I don't really know if they have a schedule per se with it, but it's a very, very, very well done and very interesting YouTube series that Haas does, which some of it definitely pertains strictly to their machinery. And then some of it's more broad, like basic machining G code, how to speed up drilling cycles. You know, it's a very, very well done resource, and I give them a lot of credit for it. And it was cool that they actually had Mark, who's the host of the show, one of the hosts of it, and doing live shows 4 times a day. And then the guy was so cool. He'd literally just be like hanging out on the shop floor, hanging out on the floor, you know, in the demo area afterwards, talking to people like it was any old day of the week. I mean, literally, he was just like, "Hey, what's up?" Everybody's like, "Dude, I love your stuff." He's like, "Oh, that's cool. You want to take like a photo?" "Oh my gosh, yes." You know, like the guy was like so down to earth. It was cool because you know how it is when you meet somebody for the first time, you like don't know what to expect, you know.
Yeah, that was great that you got to take that tour though.
Oh, that
Man.
was awesome. Since I was documenting it this time, I was like, you know what? Let me try and do my best to show it for people who can't make it or are interested in going. But you know, it's kind of like, oh, it's like Maker Faire. Do I really want to go? It's kind of far, that sort of thing. It's definitely one of those events. The nice thing is to go to it is free. All you have to do is register online. Getting there is a different story, but it's definitely one of those events that it's like if people are interested in manufacturing, even if they're in school, oh, I'd highly recommend going. Even if you're not, even if you're just like remotely interested in manufacturing in general, go. There's tons of, you know, stuff to see and people to meet, and it's interesting.
And they have the race cars there.
Oh yeah,
The Haas race cars.
Oh, really?
Well, Calvin was visiting the third-party vendors, and I was utterly bored to death.
you're welcome.
I drifted over, and you know they had one of the NASCARs there, and then they had one of the open-wheel cars, and the guy who transports them around, because the guy's sole job is basically to drive the cars to trade shows and events, and then he has to stand there and make sure people don't damage the car all day. So I got to spend some time talking to him, and like on the NASCAR, it's kind of cool. He let me go over, and on the roof they have those air brake. Well, I don't call them air brakes, but they're spoilers on the roof, so that the car spins around, comes up, and it keeps the car from flipping over and whatnot. He let me pick it up and you know see how it worked and all that. But the amusing thing was because I probably spent a good 45 minutes with that guy.
Yeah. Sorry, I was having too much fun with my friend from Raptor Work Holding.
But the amusing thing was is all these experts started coming up and telling the guy who deals with the cars every day something he supposedly didn't know. So, you know, not only was there the coolness of looking at the cars, but there was this like comedic sideshow going on. So you're looking at third-party vendor stuff in a room that was too dark.
Yeah, that was my one complaint about the third-party vendors area, of which I know the third-party vendors area is not what the show is all about. But the one thing I will say is it was a little bit of a bummer going to like these dimly lit tent areas, kind of like almost like walking through like a carnival sideshow area, where it's like they got different booths and stuff, and it was just a little bit like, okay, we could liven this up a little bit. All this black makes it feel like I'm going to a funeral. That was like my only complaint with the whole thing was the vendors area. I felt like could have been, you know, I think it's great that they're under a tent and things like that, but I felt like it could have been a little more inviting personally. That's just me. The vendors area, like one year they had vendors and like also in like some side little office area where they were holding meetings this time. So I think the where they put the vendors and things like that is partly predicated upon how many are going to show up to the event, how many register. But, you know, that was my only complaint is I kind of wish the vendors area was a little more inviting than just kind of like looking at a bunch of guys who are like burned out from 4 days of trade show, which I totally understand. We know how it is. 2 days, 1 day of Maker Faire wipes you out, and we're just running around the show, not even dealing with people. So I can totally relate to them, but it's like, you know, you're kind of cruising through there and it's just like everybody's like, you know, it's a little bit like, okay, you know. But it was still cool to see some stuff. There wasn't anything that I felt was like really worthy of firing the camera up for, except for the Raptor Work Holding thing. And also helps that Sarah was like right next to a door opening, so the lighting was pretty good. But, you know, it's like, except for that, it was mostly just like stuff that wouldn't even remotely pertain to people in the hobby industry, or everybody just looked like they were like ready to take a lunch break. And I'm just like, nope, not worth filming. So you know how it is. It's kind of like you can kind of just judge the, you know, interest factor of people very quickly by how they look at you when you're cruising around with a big old camera rig on. If they don't look too thrilled, you're just like, I'm gonna keep on marching.
Did you
Did you go over and take any video of the race cars?
No, sadly. They were just sitting out in front. If you watch the intro, though, you see me standing out like right near one.
Did you tell him?
I'm really surprised your dad didn't grab you by the neck and say, "Come here."
I should have left him with a GoPro.
Yes.
The guy that you flew down with was going to the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
You ran into him at the event.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was boarding the jet in what was it?
Oakland.
In Oakland, at Oakland Airport, I'm cruising down the gangway. I'm like, okay, you know what? I gotta film an intro in here because it's like one of those one-time takes. So I pull out my $60 camera and I got it out in front of me like this, like, I'm going to HaasTec this week. I'll make it with Calvin. You know, because I there was like a big gap between the guy in front of me and like people behind me. So I'm like, okay, this is like my one opportunity to look like an idiot in the walkway and film myself. Like everybody probably pulls out their cell phone and goes, I'm going to Hawaii, you know, kind of like that. So I'm like, okay, you know what, fine. I'm just going to film it. Turned out the dude in front of me was a rep for Selway, which is the Northern California, kind of like the Bay Area / a little bit into like the Modesto area and things like that. They're a company that's a Haas and other machinery reseller. The dude's like, wait, did you just say you're going to HaasTec? I'm like, mm-hmm. He goes, yeah, that's where I'm going too. And I'm like, the heck? He ended up sitting in a different part of the plane than I did. But it was funny because when I was just cruising around the street, he goes, hey, I remember you from the flight. I'm like, I remember you too.
That's funny, man. Did you get his business card?
He actually gave me his business card before the plane took off. He goes, hey, here's my business card. I'm like, oh, sweet. I felt bad I didn't have mine on me. So all my stuff was in the trunk. But he goes, yeah, you know, if you ever want to, you know, check out our website, you know, or shoot me an email. I'll let you know when we're going to have a big event. You know, got robot arms and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, ooh, that'd be a sweet episode right there.
Yes, it would.
You know, because the thing is, I know buying a professional level machine is definitely out of the reach of most of us hobby people, or, you know, even for a long time. But I kind of feel like if I can kind of show people how the professionals do things and how us hobby people do things, I think it kind of gives both sides more respect for how we do things. You know, there's a reason why the professionals charge what they charge, and there's a reason why the hobby people can only do so much. And you know this full well with, you know, just like in the case of that Formlabs print versus what your G-Tech could do. Both machines are very capable in their own regard. It's just one of them is more geared towards the prosumer market, and one of them is more kind of like the home tinkerer market. You know, they hit their respective markets.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
that's why.
When are you going to contact that company about that mill that has the bamboo sides to it? Well, what company was that again?
Oh, Carbide 3D. Oh, geez, yes. One of these. Once I get a few more machining videos out there, I really do want to shoot them an email and be like, "Hey, you guys might not know me, but I know a former employee of you guys. Been a big fan of your stuff. Is there any way that I can get one of your machines on loan to test, please?
pretty, please." There's nothing bad with begging.
As Jimmy will attest to, I was literally like, oh, the Carbide 833. Oh, you know.
If they knew how much of your DNA from your slobber was on that machine, they would have just given it to you.
Possession is 9/10 of the law, right? So.
Exactly. That's Eric's right up there. We're just walking up to the door handle on a car that you want and licking it. I mean, that's essentially what you did to that machine.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for that black girl working the booth, like right there, I would have just been like, pick up, walk towards the exit. I'm joking on that part, but you know what I mean. I remember the very first time I saw that thing at Maker Faire, I was just like drooling. That's back when Carbide 3D was still, you know, a very small company, very few people. I remember going over their booth and just being like, oh man, finally somebody's done a nice benchtop CNC machine. And I I don't say this in any spite towards anybody, but I would love to see how it compares to Joel's Carvey.
Oh, there'd be no comparison.
I mean, and I'm just, what I'm going to say until I cut this off, what I'm saying is this is speculation and just based off of what I've read about the Carvey. But my biggest complaint with it, based off what I've read and assume, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, I think it's a pretty locked system in terms of the tooling that it uses, because because if you watch Joel's video, there is no tool height setting that he has to do. The machine's intelligent enough to know with that smart clamp in the front corner how tall something is, but I really don't think there's a way that, to my knowledge at least, that you can go in there and manually offset a tool that is outside of their tool ecosystem. And I'll be honest, their tools are not cheap. They're extremely expensive. I mean, I can buy Destiny Tool end mills, which are an extremely high quality, high performance brand of end mills that are made over in Santa Clara. I've worked with their tools before. They're absolutely incredible. I actually used one of their 1/8 inch ball mills to rough out the coin that I showed you when we went to Fleet Week. I can get one of their very high performance end mills for the exact same price that they're charging for one of their router bits.
Wow. Now the Carvey, is it geared more toward wood or toward steel?
Definitely more geared towards wood and plastic. I personally think that it could cut soft materials like brass and copper. That's why I made the comment. I really would love to see somebody cutting, metal on the machine just to see if it is doable. And then Joel's kind of like, yeah, I really don't want to do that. And I'm like, oh boy.
Now,
that's what
the housing, is it a plastic housing or?
On the Carvey?
Yeah.
It's a probably a bended steel body from what I could tell. And then it has that front panel thingy that's, folds down over the front. But I mean, it's not that it's necessarily a bad machine. It's just, I feel like for the price that you pay for it, you can get a Nomad 883, I think it is, for just about the same price. And it's like, that one has a lot more features and this one's kind of locked. And it's just like, there is no comparison in a sense between the two, which is kind of frustrating. I mean, for what it is, the Carvey is a nice machine, but I feel like it's a little steeply priced for what it offers, in my opinion, compared to what's on the market that's comparable. Even a CNC router that's bigger.
Now, what's the price difference between it and say that one that we're talking about that we saw at Maker Faire?
Let me look that up really fast so I get my numbers right. But
because we know the one at Maker's Faire was geared towards steel, right?
That one, I've seen it do stainless steel. I've seen it do titanium.
Right.
So
it's more of your upper end.
Upper echelon CNC machine that if you're really somebody who really wants to, prototype stuff or do very short run production in their house, that's what you want. So let's see, the Carbide 3D Nomad 883, the one that I love with bamboo sides, that's like everything it should be, at Matter Hackers is $2,500. The Carvey is $2,500.
That's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
So the Carvey one, is that more for wood and plastic, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Because with the holiday season coming up, it sounds more like it's for cutting a turkey.
I mean, if I know I haven't really looked at the Carvey. I haven't looked at that much. I saw Joel's video, and from what I saw of it compared to what we saw in person at Maker Faire of that Carbide 3D, the Carbide 3D to me it wins hands down as far as build quality.
Oh yeah, and there's nothing wrong with Shoreline Tools. They're down in Vista, California. It is definitely on my list of places that I need to contact to make sure that they're totally cool with me potentially coming down in the future and filming there before I plan a trip to do it. But their facility, I've been on a tour of their facility a couple years ago, and it was absolutely incredible. They make machinery that's definitely for the hobby market, but it's definitely geared more towards model makers and people they're not production machines. Their stuff costs about the same as the Carby and the Nomad for a CNC machine. And pretty much they were like the only people on the market for a long time that were making ready to run, if you want that capability, CNC machines. And they're very nice for what they are, but they're definitely not equipped to do any kind of production running, which is something the Nomad or the Carby could do better in materials.
Right.
And I don't think they're very cheap.
So it's like you pretty much had just like Shoreline, and then you had the low cost import CNC routers from China on the market. You know, so it's like you really had like the routers were only fine for doing sheet stuff, and the milling machines were good for other things. But that was it. You know, there was nothing else on the market that really could do stuff. So when Carbide 3D comes rolling into the scene, I'm like, okay, if this machine works, this is awesome. And it's one of the few things that, quite honestly, if I could go back in time, I would have totally backed the Kickstarter on it. It's like the only Kickstarter regret I have not backing is Carbide 3D's Nomad, to be perfectly honest. And you know me on Kickstarter.
I know. You're like I am. It's like, I don't feel like gambling.
My take on Kickstarter is there are some very good projects that are on there, so don't get me wrong, but the problem is too many are mismanaged disasters from the beginning.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is that machine, the Carby, the 3D Carbide?
Mm-hmm.
What do they do that your little machine shop thing doesn't do? Because those things with the wood sides, I mean, I'm kind of like, really?
Well, the frame, it actually has a metal frame inside.
Mm-hmm.
Those wood sides are purely aesthetic.
But it looks like your CNC machine is.
Yeah, it's similar. The thing that differentiates we're going to focus on the Carbide on this one because it's more the pro model. The advantage the Carbide has is the enclosure. It has software that literally will allow you to import any file type, including STLs, which are normally just 3D printing files, which is nice. So I could go on Thingiverse and download a file and import it. Then it also has the ability using Jig to put a part in, machine one side, and flip it over, and then machine the other side. It's more geared towards, I mean, it has the ability to run programs like Fusion 360, so you can set everything yourself, but it comes with, I think it's, I forget what it's called, Mesh Cam or something like that, which you tell it the tool you're going to use, and it will import a pre-made file and run it out. And the other advantage of it is it's designed, the Carbide has a built-in tool presetter. So every time you put a tool in there, it sets the tool height, and it knows your fixture in the machine. So all you do is you load the tool, push go, it finds the height by itself. I can't do that. I've tried to do it, and it's always crashed and died and burned miserably, so I just do it by hand. Then it knows from the program where the machine 0 point is, moves over to your part and starts cutting it. So the only real difference between them is the enclosure, the tool presetting, and the software. The other nice thing about it is the fact that it's enclosed out of the box. You don't have to build an enclosure or anything like that. It's literally pull it out of the box, plug it in, and go. Well, my bigger CNC machine that you guys see in all the videos, that one was a home CNC conversion, which is a complete disaster. I mean, it's a miracle the thing even runs. It runs decently. But that one's a lot more labor intensive, and a lot more, you have to know exactly what you're doing or you're going to crash the machine. While both the Carby and the Nomad are very much more like beginner or people with not a lot of machining experience friendly, but people who know what they're doing with the Carbide can do extremely incredible things. I've seen photos that they posted to people who have made like custom watch backs or other really intricate things like that. So it kind of runs the gamut, if you know what I mean. Mostly if Carbide 3D was gracious enough to loan me a machine to test, it'd mostly be seeing how it compares to a larger machine and what it's really good at doing. Because my thing is, if you know a machine works, especially a CNC machine, it's not so much can it cut, it's how good can it cut, what are the limitations, and what is this probably best for?
Yeah. Plus, it's really pretty.
Oh yeah, I I give them points for not only making a very reliable, from what I know, and very user-friendly machine, but also not making it like your typical like GearBest special 3D printer with like wires hanging out everywhere and a control box here and a power supply there and like 10 wires running to the board. And
keep one of those that clear close to it.
yeah, one of those machines that you're like, okay, printer, please don't burn my house down today. Like one of those things. You definitely, you know, it has not only the performance, but it also has the aesthetics. And that's something that I really, really, really give them credit for. So many of these machines, they've got the performance, but the aesthetics are lacking. And not that I'm saying that aesthetics are everything with a machine, but for something that they're trying to make fit into an office or a fab lab or a school ecosystem, having a machine that looks nice inspires a lot more confidence in people than having something that looks like it was hacked together in a weekend. You know, both might function properly. It's just one that's very sleek and elegant and enclosed very well is definitely going to give people more confidence in, okay, this thing looks safe versus, is that thing going to yank its wires out and burn up?
Well, Calvin, I'm starting to fade.
I'm fading too. He's fading 3.
Yeah, I have performed my function as frame filler for the evening. I'm going to get smart, though. I'm going to have a cardboard cutout, maybe with a wind-up articulating mouth, and we can just pay me the residuals, but I don't have to be there.
Okay, now before we fold this up, we got to ask. Tell us about the Datsun.
Oh, the Datsun. For more than 5 viewers. But we can always repeat the story. So I used to race slot cars as a kid in early 70s. And I was like 13 at the time. And this guy came in who was like 21 years old going on 12. You know, he was that age, but he kind of had he wasn't like mentally deficient, but he just kind of had, you know, the wherewithal of being no more than about a preteen. And at that time he was driving a Chevy Caprice, but eventually bought that Datsun 510 I have. And once the warranty, which I think was like 1 year, 6,000 miles, it was pretty low, was off on the thing. He went out, you know, he's a single guy, bachelor, lives at home with mom and dad. So all his money went to toys. He put all this Datsun competition stuff on it. It was outrageously expensive. And every time he did something, you know, the car got to the point where it had one seat in it, a roll cage, and it had the spatter paint on the floor. The gauge cluster was a block of aluminum with Stuart Warner gauges in it. I mean, it was as close to being a race car on the street as you could have. So in 1982, the smog laws changed and he couldn't drive it on the road anymore. So he just parked it in his backyard. And in 1998, he says to me, if you want it, come get it. So I jammed down there and I got it. And I probably had it sitting here for about 4 years when my daily driver kind of just, it went past smog, and that car didn't have to be smogged. So for a little while, that was my drive it to work car for about 6 months. You know, I got it fixed and running it and whatnot, but it's loud because it's like a tin can. Plus the door panels are gone, so it's got aluminum panels on the side. The fuel line runs through the engine, through the passenger compartment. And even if there's no leaks, it still smells, and it's just horrible. Drives like a go-kart, you know, I mean, all over the road.
Literally, the thing's like, like every time you change gears, you gotta like rev the engine up really high to get it to go 10 miles an hour so that you can shift gears again. It's like a diesel truck. Yeah.
Anyway, so I drove it for about 6 months. I had no heater, and the 6 months I drove it was right through the winter, and I was working nights, so my classes would end, and I'd be on the ride home, and I'd be like freezing, and I'd be like, really? So I eventually just parked it, and it's sitting in the side yard waiting for someday when. But I got like 7 cars, so I guess we got more topics to talk about it at another time. Calvin always find it interesting because somehow the Datsun pops up. But I'll just say this: you go back and look at the old videos. No one has meant. In fact, the one with the lathe. Go watch the video with the lathe. No one has mentioned the car in the garage. So yeah, let's figure that one out.
The lathe video, the glow-in-the-dark fidget spinners, and the confetti poppers one. I'm not sure for the glow-in-the-dark spinners and the confetti poppers one.
It's a lathe mostly. It shows up.
How easy it is to see in there, but if you go in there, you might also see the car in there. But yeah, the lathe one, you notice it a lot.
You know, 2 people who are going to go back to those videos, they're going to be making all kinds of comments. It's going to be Curtis.
Let me guess. Curtis, Chris, and then maybe Adam if we're lucky.
And I'll give you a little clue here. You'll catch the car, and if you're able to accurately figure out at least who the manufacturer is, I'll give you a clue. There were 2 versions of it. I got the better one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, let's just say he has a lot of cars floating around here besides his daily driver.
So we're going to have my own show called Disassemble It with Dad and Never Get It Back Together. That car's been up on jack stands for 18 years.
Oh, no.
From 2000 till now. And in 2018, I think it's January 21st, it'll be 18 years. So.
What car is that one?
Well, that's the one you guys got to figure out. I'm not going to tell you.
Well, okay, I'll put it this way. When we end the stream and it's not live anymore, you can tell them. Nobody else will see.
No, I'll let them figure it out.
Oh, it's not fun.
Yeah.
Hey, we got Rick in chat. What's up, Rick?
I'll just offer Calvin some of that crack from, what's that? Panda Express.
Oh, that thing, the teriyaki bowl with chicken? Oh, man,
Yeah.
you gotta try this stuff. It's like, it's so good. Oh, man, that is some good stuff. I need more.
Oh, man.
Oh,
I see
man.
Rick's in. How you doing, Rick?
Your buddy Rick from across the bay.
Yeah.
Now it seems like when we're going to end the stream, everybody's coming in. It's just like, oh, man.
So who was streaming tonight? There must have been somebody.
What were you going to say?
What's that?
What were you going to say?
Oh, I forget.
Oh, okay.
No, I was asking. I wonder who was streaming tonight that we came in on.
I have no clue. I haven't checked Repcord's thing. I think our problem is like you were saying is that part of our problem is it's like during the day everybody is streaming, so there's that. But then the problem is when it comes to the nighttime, we usually, unless we do it was like an 11 o'clock stream or something like that, 11 to like midnight or 1. The main problem is we kind of hit that dead zone between everybody in the USA has gone to bed. Nobody's in the middle of the ocean, and nobody in Europe has woken up yet. So we don't get Kat or Daniel or the Guinness or all of our buddies in Europe. So
if you had the tell the bedtime story moment, all the kids in the family could gather around, and then Mom could go put them to bed, and then Dad could sit there and chat.
I think the other problem is obviously I don't have as many followers as you do. I think that's another thing is obviously I know I can post stuff on Twitter all I want, but that doesn't get people notifications like when they're subscribed. So I think that's part of the reason why when you go live, everybody who's subscribed, goes, oh, hey, Jimmy's live. When I go live, there's not as many people who get the notification. So I think there's that as well. But I do kind of like our bouncing back and forth that we've been doing between channels. I think it's a good way to kind of, mix things up a little bit. You get to do it, I get to do it, you get to do it, I get to do it. And, it helps both of us. It's kind of a mutual thing, if you will.
Right. I think so too. I think in the end it'll work out a lot better.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the old Tech Talk, which I never watched. But it's it's that, having it bounce back and forth and then having other people come on makes it more interesting.
Yeah. Well, you want to go ahead and call it?
I think I'll go ahead and call it. Thanks to all 6 of you total who tuned in for the show. Sorry if this one was kind of like the usual goofiness that we have, but this was more or less kind of like I'm on vacation right now, if you will, kind of also making the most of it, filming everything like crazy like I do. You just got back from the mini maker fair, so it was kind of like a quick little catch up, and then we're going to go both crash.
Why don't you offer them a Make It with Calvin button if they go to the lathe video and figure out what the car in the garage is?
Okay, I'll put it this way. If somebody can figure out what the car is in the garage video, I will make a 3D printed bronze maker coin and polish it and send it to you. So go watch the lathe video and go figure out what the machine is, and the correct winner gets the custom polished coin and maybe some other swag for me.
And looking at the 6 viewers, you got a 1 in 6 chance of being the winner too.
Jimmy's like, okay, I'm gonna go over there and figure that out.
I'm totally gonna go over there. And I want to put a special thanks out to Travis, Pyro Designs, for doing this for me. And that thing there's stinking cool.
I am dying to see the video on that.
I mean, man, it's just amazing watching him do that.
I'm just jealous that you got to see the laser cutter and I didn't.
Oh, that laser cutter is cool. It can cut a 4x8 sheet of steel.
How thick?
Wait till you see what Ripcord got.
How thick do you? I forget how thick Travis said it could go. I think you can go at least 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 inch.
Quarter
I can't
inch.
remember.
Yeah,
Quarter
inch. Yeah.
It's a laser cutter?
Yeah, laser
It's
cutter.
not like a water jet?
No, it's a straight laser cutter. Show him the edges on the Yoda really fast. He
You ready,
missed out on the part.
ready for some laser porn?
No burrs.
No burrs at all. Just completely smooth.
Fascinating.
And on the back side, no flash. The back looks identical to the front.
Except it's mirrored.
Just amazing. And they even cut these holes with it too. Perfectly round holes.
Like I said earlier, I had him do some brass laser cutting for me, and the only problem I had is he didn't have nitrogen, so it had the slag. But even then, you could tell that thing was cutting really well. You know, it just he sent me a video. He goes, "Okay, Calvin, I'm gonna print your parts now." And in like a minute, he cut like a 4x6 piece of like 20 thousandths brass with all the train stuff, and I'm like, man, that was fast.
Oh, and the other thing too is on this one, he has a machine that it snaps the hole and rounds the edge, and then he has another one that puts the rivet. It's a machine that originally was made for putting the rivet, the little eyelets and shoes, and it does it on the corners. That way you can put your little nails or whatever through it, and it doesn't hurt the sign.
That is incredible. One of these days, I have a standing offer from Travis to come out there and film it. I just, like everything else, I just have not had the time to do it yet. That definitely.
When you get ready to do it, you let me know. I'll go with you.
Sounds good, because that's definitely one of those things where it's like, it's a big enough thing that it's like I need a camera person there with me to help out with, like, you know, secondary camera shots and stuff. Because it's cool, you know, filming yourself, but I have to say, having him to help me, which was much appreciated at the event, to either film me filming stuff or, you know, just things like that. It really, really made me go, yeah, I'm going to need a camera person, somebody at Maker Faire, if I go again, to help out actually filming with stuff. Because when you have somebody there to help you, you're a lot more apt to film things than when you're by yourself and you're like, no, I don't really want to do that. No, I really don't want to do that.
I think we're going to have to team up on this next Maker Faire, because we need to get more footage on this next one.
Yeah, I feel like me especially, I when I got there and just saw everything, I just got kind of discouraged, and I was just like, nah.
When you got there, you're like, squirrel.
I'm like, Joel, Caleb from Build Tech, everybody I know, cool. Everything else, forget it.
And then you went and you saw that CNC over there, and you're like, oh.
I'll have to talk to the guys from the Yosemite Shortline Model Railroad group, and we'll have to look into it. But I really want to try and convince them if it's even doable. We'll have to see how tricky it would be. But I think it'd be really cool if we were able to set up and operate at the Maker Faire, because I feel like by then we're going to have the layout much better, and it'd be something that's really cool to show off as well.
That would be a really good idea.
Because they have the Lego stuff there, which is cool, and they have the outdoor live steamers thing, but I don't want to sound insulting to them because their models are beautiful. I love their models, but it's like all you do is you just watch trains go around in a circle, and it's like by the second lap, you're just like, this is kind of boring, you know. But I feel like having or talk to the other modular train group that I'm kind of like an honorary member of, talk to them and be like, hey, just throwing this out there, but I think it'd be really cool if we had a setup, if it was doable, at the Maker Faire. It would be an incredible opportunity to get out to people. I think if we did that, it would not be at like a train show where we let people right up to the layout. I think we definitely have a cordoned off area so we could get around the layout and maybe have, you know, an area that's kind of like closer so people can get in there. But I'll have to talk to them about it, and we'll have to look into it. But I really think that would be something that would make it a lot more interesting if we decide to do it. You know,
it would. That'd make it really good.
Because the one thing that I would love to do if we did that is I'd probably have one of my 3D printers bolted to a table and running train parts on show. You know, this is how you can implement 3D printing into stuff. I've actually debated doing that at the upcoming show. One of the guys is like, yeah, we can just bring a table and you can bring your printer there and have it, you know, running out parts. And you can talk about how you 3D print things. Because when I mentioned that, oh, this little locomotive I have, you know, the shell's 3D printed, everybody all of a sudden is like glued to it and wants to know about it. And I'm like, okay, you know, this is actually a cool idea. And you know, explain that you can use it for more than just model training. You can use it for model making in general. You know, here's what to expect. Almost put on like a little mini clinic, because so many of these shows don't even have any kind of like clinics you can visit. It's just high people selling stuff. It's like, that's not what I remember from childhood. You know, going to watch some building scenery clinic or something like that, you know, getting an idea of what you can do. Now it's just like all commercial, and it's like, no, this is all wrong.
Your dad's saying, now I thought you guys were going to end this like 15 minutes ago.
That's what we do every time. Okay, Jimmy, let's end the stream. 20 minutes later, oh, Cat's in the chat. We got Daniel. We're going to talk for another 20 minutes.
Squirrel. Let's go ahead and call it, my friend.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks to all 5 of you currently who are watching, and we'll see you guys later.